Hey everybody, it's Mike Venus La Soul, and I'm back. And been on some trips, been doing a lot of traveling, so haven't had much time to like sit down and really get into making music or doing videos. But recently, I made a new purchase. I got the Maschine MK3 with the Maschine 3 software, and I love it. Let's talk about some of the things I love. First and foremost, I love that it's 100% tactile. Like the only time I literally have to touch my touch the laptop or the mouse is um, if I'm the keyboard on the laptop is if I'm renaming my scenes or patterns or even like samples, because I like to auto sample like plugins, like the contact library, or if I want to make sounds and then I'll sample it so that I'm not like taxing the CPU. That's something I learned from working inside like something like standalone like the Force. So I just apply it to this, kind of keep the speed up. And also I can manipulate it a little bit more. Yeah, so, and then the mouse is if I have to, certain plugins that I have to use my mouse to like move around, but outside of that, everything's pretty much with the controller. It's amazing. Um, yeah, so number one, 100% tactile. I love it. I'm picking it up a little bit faster. I only had it for 3 weeks. So it's not like, oh, like this is the learning curve is so hard. It's pretty quick. Um, the only thing I could think of that was just as quick as this was the 2000 XL, the MPC 2000 XL. And I also like the way it's laid out the same way. You got the transport on the left, you got the pads on the right, you got some of the it has that feel. So I like that design. I know it's iconic because it's the only MPC that's built like that. The 2000 XL in its design, maybe the 2000, but the 2000 XL. And the Machina basically kind of has the same layout, so I like that. I like the colors. I like that you can choose your own colors. And I like that I can kind of move around pretty quick without really getting too like bogged down with menu diving as much as I thought I would be. Now let's talk about some of the workflows that I like about it. I like the stems separation in Maschine. I use it primarily if I am looking to build a kit. Okay, so I'll give you an example, right? So I'll get a loop, right? And usually in a loop, they'll have the drum sounds that all go together. Right now, there might be some other stuff in there, some ambience, some sound effects, vocals, instruments, bass, or some shit like that you don't want, right? By using the stems, get my phone. By using the stems, it kind of give you it gives you the ability to get the sounds that worked best together, and then after you separate the stems, you set it to like one note polyphony and in one shot, and then you just go in there and start chopping it up, and you just build a drum kit real quick with the sounds that work. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not hitting like you want, I'll say the third thing I like about it is the internal plugins. The drum synths, the poly synth and the bass synth are good. They're solid. Like that's one way I judge software or any like DAW. Is really the stock sounds and stock plugins, like with effects and all that. Because if it's not good, that means you're gonna have to spend more money to make it good. And I see that a lot with FL. I know a lot of people they swear up and down with FL. I have FL, so you can't tell me nothing on what I'm saying. You know it's true. A lot of the stock sounds in FL does not sound good. But and the UI is really hard to work with. So, you know, you have to go and get third party plugins. And, you know, that's all I see what people doing when they making beats. Rarely do I see them use the stock plugins. Bitwig, on the other hand, I got Bitwig. Their stock plugins and instruments and effects is pretty high standard. So I never used really any no third party plugins unless I just really was looking to use like my Model D app plugin, or the Model 15 app plugin, or maybe try to use Maschine, but I don't like using it inside of Bitwig. So yeah, the stock sounds, the stock plugins is really, really nice. I was very impressed by that, because that's how I judge if a DAW is good. Because I always look at it from the perspective of, okay, what if I don't want to buy sounds from third party, or if I don't have it right then, can I cook with what I have? You know, is the ingredients sufficient enough for me to make a decent beat? And I'll give it 2 thumbs up. It's really good. Another thing is the auto sampling. I use it on, maybe this go back from me working in the Force and being in a standalone limited 2 gig RAM type scenario, but I use the auto sampling even on like the Contact plugins, or any third party plugins like I said, my Model D, or the Model 15 iOS apps that I can use with my computer. I will resample sounds, or if it's in the Contact, I can stack up sounds, kind of layer it the way I want, then resample it, and then discard the actual plugin and just use the new auto sample layout. And what that does is saves the CPU, which, I mean, I got an M1 MacBook Pro, so it's not like it's gonna be like taxing, but it's just a workflow that I like. And it kind of speeds up the workflow, because that's something that I had already developed using the Force, and translate better into using the Maschine. So, you know, it's just the way I work. And then the step sequencer, I'm still figuring it out. Like I said, I only had it for 3 weeks. I got to figure out how to change the grid so that like the steps are different, so I can get more like sophisticated with my hats or with my snares or ghost notes. But for the most part, just laying stuff out is pretty simple, pretty quick. Very quick workflow, especially when it comes to the drums. Chord mode, it's useful, you know, but I don't really like, it's like worst case scenario if I don't have my Launchpad my Launchpad X right here, which I have it hooked up so I can play keys and stuff like that. Wonders, you know. But trying to think, what else do I like? Oh, another thing I like is the fact that this has a built-in audio interface. Now, I'll say this, maybe down the road, unless I buy a case for this, or if I have to travel like where I can't drive, I have to fly, and I don't really feel comfortable taking my MK3, I might get the Maschine Micro MK3. It looks, I know a lot of people complain like, oh, it's not, you know, but I can still use the screen on the laptop, and it's probably better for my neck anyway. I have to find a stand for this and maybe a traveling case, but I love this. I should have probably went with this whenever, you know, I was looking to make a purchase on some hardware, but I really just wanted something a little bit more standalone and a professional grade. And I want to say at that time, the software wasn't where it is now. So I don't regret waiting. But if I was to start all over, I probably would have went with this route with the Maschine and Native Instruments. Sounds are peak, bro. Peak. Even the basic shit that comes with the factory sounds and stuff, I can still do a lot with that. And I would strongly advise this. I would strongly suggest that, you know, if you have it, another reason before this train come is that my audio interface started acting up. I would have went with the micro MK3, but I needed an audio interface because, you know, if I want to auto sample from my keyboard or my pedals, you know, I make instruments on there, or like, you know, if I rent a keyboard or a synth and I want to sample that to save it, this is a little bit more easy because all I have to bring is basically the Maschine and my laptop and my hard drive. You know, I don't have to have all these extra things really. I mean, I like my Launchpad X. I bring it because I can play keys on it pretty quick, but I could play it on here as well. So it's kind of like I have to get familiar with both ways. And then they have the user chords. I like that too, excuse me. So I know a lot of people, they abandoning this, but it's pretty solid, bro. Like I can't personally play on this. I can't really see where hardware wise and design wise they will have to make a major improvement if they make an MK4. I think if they make a plus MK2, it's just to improve the computer that's inside it and maybe give it the ability to have, like, you know, a easier way to work, or maybe different ways, you know, to like save stuff or program stuff, you know what I'm saying? Maybe have more MIDI outs, MIDI in, some shit like that. But overall, the design is peak, you know what I'm saying? And I like the micro MK3. I think it's a very good controller just starting out, and you can get cooking real quick on both of these, or all of the devices. But I will say this, like with the Pro, or not the Pro, the Maschine Plus, you have to really know how to use the MK3 like without touching the keyboard on your laptop or using a mouse. Like, you really have to know how to work this thing as if it's a standalone piece of gear, you know, to really have that advantage with the Plus, you know. And you gotta really like the sounds, because that's, for the most part, that's all you got inside until you know, able to get your library on there, your user library, or, you know, any of the expansions you bought to put them onto the device. You're gonna be kind of limited with the stock sounds if that's not what you like, you know what I'm saying? So I'll say the best of both worlds is the middle, what's considered the middle ground, which is the MK3, and that I give 2 thumbs up. And even arranging the beat on here, I like how to do that too. I still have to get familiar with the clips and try to understand what that is and how to kind of use that so I can get more. I can edit from the machine, but yeah, I want to get that proficient. I think more or less I'll probably end up mastering this thing by the end of this year, if I'm stay on this thing pretty consistent. So I'm Mike Venus, La Soul. Till the next time, y'all be blessed. And once I really get this down, then I'll start doing like little tips and tutorials, demonstrating from the machine. Gotta get the right angle, you know. So hopefully this was good, edifying. I'm doing good. I hope y'all doing good too. And with that, y'all be blessed. Mike out.